gentlemen. My name is Jörg Feustel-Büchel. I am member of the International Program Committee of this Global Innovation Conference 2015. And I would like to welcome all of you wholeheartedly, and I hope that you will enjoy a fruitful and sometimes even controversial Congress on matters which are of interest for all of us. The subject of the conference is actually twofold. On the one side, we will speak with you about innovation processes, and on the other side, we will speak about entrepreneurship for inventions and ideas which are coming out of the aerospace community. The conference itself has been organized by the International Astronautical Federation in cooperation with the Bavarian government, the Bavarian Ministry of Economic Affairs and Media, Energy and Technology, the European Space Agency ESA, and the German Aerospace Center DLR. These were the organizers, and already here now I would like to mention that we had important sponsors, the companies Lockheed and OHB, but also the CNES and ZARM and RSA and JAXA and CAIRI were supporting our conference. Of course, I have the pleasure to greet already here now some honorary guests. Unfortunately, I have to mention that our first speaker was supposed to be Mrs. Aigner, the Minister of Economic Affairs, and she regrets very much she could not come. But tonight you will have the opening speech by the Secretary of State, Mr. Pschira, at the reception of the Bavarian government. And I would like to greet actually Mr. Higuchi, the President of ERF, Monsieur Dordain, who is the Director General of the European Space Agency ESA, Mr. Professor Jan Werner, who is not present but who will address you in a video message because he gives his farewell today in Cologne, and of course he doesn't manage the ubiquity, so he cannot be here at the same time. But he will address you by video message. Then we have Monsieur Legal speaking to you. Monsieur Legal is the Vice President of the ERF, responsible for industrial affairs. And then we have two further speakers in the first round, which is Dr. Merkel from OHB Group. He is a member of the chair board of OHB. And then we have Dr. Robbie Samantha Roy from Lockheed, who actually held the CTO conference this morning. CTO stands for Chief Technical Officers, and they spoke about disrupting innovations this morning, and he will give you a short overview on the major results. Of course, it is my particular pleasure to announce after the honorary speeches then two keynote speakers of very high-level nature. It's first of all His Highness Prince Dr. Turki from Saudi Arabia, from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and then Ms. Candace Johnson from the United States. I will come to their vita a little bit later. First of all, I would like to thank the Bavarian government that they provided this facility for us, this splendid facility. And I think we could have not found a better one in order to talk about innovations and technology transfer. This residence was built in 1653, and so that means more than 350 years ago. And already at that time, it was a source of innovations for artisans, for handicrafters, and for industry in order to deal with all the innovations that the kings and dukes had in their minds, in their castles. And I think some of you have already seen this residence, which is, in my opinion, quite impressive. Of course, today we have the aerospace industry, which is another prime generator of patents and know-how. And as we have learned already this morning, the challenge actually for the aerospace industry, on the one side, which we talk about, is that they are confronted not so much maybe with innovations from other sides, but with innovative business opportunities and business practices. Just to mention the Space X initiative, or the initiative for more than 1,000 satellites from Google, or the new space undertakings in the United States, which are, I think, great challenges for the established industry in aerospace. And it is certainly of a high danger that there are major changes coming up in this arena. Of course, I'm not so worried about the innovative power of space industry or aerospace industry. They certainly will be able also in the future to be a prime generator of patents and know-hows in this area. That means there is enough food for new entrepreneurs and new ventures in order to take benefit of this enormous wealth that aerospace industry has generated in the past years. So that will be one subject of the conference. The other subject is technology transfer and entrepreneurship. I think we can certainly already note today with pleasure that there are many initiatives worldwide. You will hear about them during the conference and already at the opening speeches. But I think there is much more to be done. We have seen a lot of positive first steps, but I personally hope very much that in the future we will have much more technology transfer and young startups in order to use the enormous experience and the enormous wealth of know-how that has been generated by aerospace research and aerospace industry. And I hope that this conference will contribute for us in order to understand better what are the different practices and experiences and recommendations how to do even better in the future in this field. With that, I would like to stop already here and wish you a very successful congress, not stopping here without having a big thank you to the organizers, especially the team of Dr. Feichtinger, who spent a lot of time and effort in order to properly organize this conference. With that, I would like to invite Mr. Higuchi, the ERF president, for his opening remarks. Thank you very much.
Guten Tag, everyone. My friends. Okay. Our keynote speakers, Dr. Alshout and Ms. Johnson, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the International Astronautical Federation, European Space Agency, German Aerospace Center, and Bavarian Ministry of the Economic Affairs and Media, Energy and Technology, I warmly welcome you to Munich and to the Global Space Innovation Conference. We are delighted to be jointly hosting this exciting international conference. It will include 6 plenaries and exhibitions that will address the view of entrepreneurs, how the society and the government can support the entrepreneurs and stimulate the space venture. In the past, the national project were the only way to make his dream come true from the old space boys like us. Time has changed. Now, the space boy makes his dream come true with entrepreneurship by establishing his own company. Those industry players are very active. The movement is rapidly widespreading all over the world. According to this, there are urgent needs of policies, regulations, financial and non-financial aids to support them. Also, we need the efficient method of educating young professionals to have entrepreneurship to open their brilliant future. I believe this conference will inspire you and broaden your horizon. I'd like to thank all of you for your presence here in Munich. Let me thank in particular the co-organizer, the Bavarian Ministry of Economic Affairs and Media, Energy and Technology, the German Aerospace Center, and the European Space Agency. Also, a special thanks to the IPC co-chairs, Mr. Jorgo Voigt-Bucker, Dr. Gerd Gruppe, Professor Hans-Jörg Dittas, Mr. Frank Zaltzgerber, and Mr. Ken Davidian. And to the organizing committee members, Dr. Andrea Busch, Dr. Karl-Heinz Goisberg, and Peter Zeig, and Dr. Christian Hoitinger. Our great thanks to the IAF Secretariat for their outstanding work in organizing this exciting evening, and to all speakers and presenters for these contributions. Finally, I truly appreciate the generous sponsors, Lockheed Martin, OHB, ESA, CNES, CARI, and JAXA. I believe we can all live with new perspectives and understandings from the discussion over the next 2 days. We sincerely hope you enjoy your time at this conference, and thank you for your participation. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to announce Monsieur Jean-Jacques Dordain, the Director General of the European Space Agency, as the next speaker. ESA is one of the prime organizations in Europe, generating a lot of know-how and innovations in space. And I'm very pleased that my cooperation with Jean-Jacques Dordain also generated first steps in making these technologies available for the broader community, for young entrepreneurs. Jean-Jacques, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jörg. Dear colleagues, so I would like first to thank the co-organizers, IAF, Government of Bavaria and DLR, to co-organize this conference on innovation in Munich with ESA. So IAF, Bavaria and DLR, it's 3 good reasons for ESA to co-organize this conference. IAF, because it is, as of today, the only global organization federating all actors, from institutions to private, but also from retired generation to students from all over the world. By the way, I hate that you always speak of young entrepreneurs. They could have old entrepreneurs also. So I prefer entrepreneurs. They can be old or young. So that is for IEF. But also Bavaria and DLR, because as Jörg was saying, we have created here in Bavaria together one of the most successful structures for innovation that ESA has set up in the last years. I am speaking of the business incubation centers, which are generating business exactly from space technology, space data, and space patents. So this is the right place. But this is also the right time to organize such a conference, because the world is moving and moving fast. This is just the result of the growing importance of space for the future on planet Earth. So the number of actors is growing every day, institutional and private, generating new ideas and new initiatives every day. So the race is not anymore to the moon, the race is to competitiveness. And there are two ways to be competitive. The first way is to do cheaper what exists. And the other way is to innovate, to do what does not exist yet. Here in Europe, it's very difficult, and maybe even quite impossible, to be cheaper than some other countries of the world, either because they have less constraints or because they have different economic standards. So we have therefore no alternative to innovation. So to innovate, first, you have to connect different expertise. Innovation comes from connection, from space and non-space. And I'm glad to see that the title of your conference is GLIC, because you have forgotten the word space. You have kept Global Innovation Conference. And that is good, because I don't think that innovation should be just space innovation. It's innovation, including space and non-space. But this is the first condition, connecting people and connecting expertise. The second condition is to take risks. If you don't like risks, much better not to innovate. And this is the reason why innovation requires partnership. In order to share different expertise, to share resources, and to share risks. This is what we have done and what we are developing at ESA, with the creation of public-private partnerships, especially in telecommunications, with the promotion of integrated applications, and with the development of business incubation centers. So the first business incubation center that we have created was here in Bavaria, together with the Bavarian government and DLR. It was 5 years ago, in Oberpfaffenhofen. And this is a great success. In 5 years, 98 companies have been created, 1,200 new jobs, with a success rate of 87%. And this is such a success that 3 weeks ago I was here in Bavaria to open the fourth location of Big Bavaria in Ottobrunn. So now we have 4 centers in Bavaria for incubation. And it was with Minister Egner, demonstrating the interest of the government of Bavaria. But we have also created 9 other business incubation centers in 8 different member states of ESA. And 1 week ago, I have celebrated in Le Bourget the 2 years of the Big South France, which is also that we have created with CNES, which is also a great success. So with these 10 business incubation centers, we are now at 300 new companies created, with an average of 15 persons per company. And the objective set to each business incubation center is to create 10 new companies per year, meaning altogether 100 new companies per year. So as you can see, with these business incubation centers, we have created in 5 years more jobs than SpaceX, with much less noise and with much less public money. So the world moves, but ESA is also moving quickly. And I am sure that after this conference we shall move again, because new ideas will come from your discussions and exchange during these 2 days. And I wish you a very productive conference, and if there is new ideas, I can be an old entrepreneur. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Monsieur Dordain. Jean-Jacques, it is when you opened the big subsidiary in Ottobrunn 3 weeks ago, you said, I will come back when it is 100. It was 98 at that time. And yesterday I heard from Mr. Rudolph that we are at 101. So welcome back in Munich. We have now as the next speaker, actually originally was planned that Professor Jan Werner is talking to you, but as I already mentioned, he is giving his farewell tonight, and that is the reason why he sends us a video message. And I would like now to start the video message.
Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome all of you to the Global Space Innovation Conference here in Munich. I'm very sorry that I cannot be with you, but I would like to say some greeting words vis-à-vis this video. Innovation. Innovation is a big word, and at the same time, innovation is a very broad area. Innovation needs especially innovative people, innovative leaders, innovative staff members. So the first question for me is, who is really guaranteeing innovation? And there are different models. So there must be somebody who has an idea. We would call him a composer in music. There is somebody who is finally deciding what to play at what time and what to do. We call it a conductor. But in between, I think in between the composer and the conductor, there is something more to be done. And I again try to have a parallel to the music in that we have the jam session. The jazz jam session is a perfect instrument to gather different ideas and to go up and go forward to new ideas. So I would like to propose, first of all, let's do innovation by having jam sessions, by having somebody having the ideas, a composer, and at the end of the line also somebody who is conducting all the stuff to come to better ideas. If we look to the global world, we can see these type of people, and we can also see this type of people behaving in a very special manner. If you look to the US, Elon Musk is always mentioned, not only because of PayPal, not only because of Tesla, but especially also because of SpaceX. And he is now proposing that in the future we should reuse the launchers after a flight. Therefore, he is trying to land the first stage of the launcher of Falcon 9 on a small barge in the sea. Everybody was saying no chance, but he is trying it flight by flight. It did not work so far, but it's interesting how the different people are reacting on his trials. So there was, after the last trial, which did not work perfectly, a German newspaper saying SpaceX failed again. Okay. An American newspaper was saying for the same issue, Falcon 9 almost landing. And Elon Musk himself, he gave a tweet saying, ship fine, minor repairs, exciting day. I believe that this type of understanding we have really to take into account when we are talking about innovation. Innovation must be something new, must be something we did not do so far. Therefore, what we need is, of course, a vision for something new. We need deep knowledge in the different fields. We need courage to do it. We should also have a desire to realize it at the end of the day. And what is also important for me, coming back to the jam session, a willingness to share different ideas within a group and also to other people. With that, I wish you all the best for the Global Space Innovation Conference and hope to see all of you soon again here or at different locations. Thank you very much.
So our next speaker is Monsieur Jean-Yves Le Gall. Monsieur Jean-Yves Le Gall is actually the Vice President of the International Astronautical Federation, and at the same time he is the President of CNES, and he is even a third function here. And today I would like to thank you very much as a sponsor of this conference, Monsieur Le Gall. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So I don't give tonight a farewell party, at least at my knowledge. This is why I am here, but I will join the farewell party of Jan Werner. This is why I will leave earlier, because making a jam session tonight is quite exciting, even if I am not an entrepreneur. I'm not the rocker, because I think that all of you know that I like rock and roll, and so we are in Munich, so I think that if we want to pay a tribute to Scorpions, we can say that there is a wind of change. And I am sure that this conference will be a nice opportunity to speak about changes, because IAF Global Series conferences give governments, space agencies, industries and entrepreneurs a forum for exchanging their experience. And after addressing the topics of exploration and applications in the previous years, this year we will focus on innovation for the future of space activities with the Global Space Innovation Conference. And referring to what Jean-Jacques said, there is space in the name, but not in the acronym. So we are, let us say, GLIC is better than the Global Space Innovation Conference. I am sure that if you ask people in the street if they think the space sector is innovative, you will get a resounding yes. And obviously, any space project generates innovation. Discovering new planets, measuring sea level rise with millimeter accuracy, providing an ultra-precise global positioning system. Last time I spoke here, it was about Galileo, it was a few weeks ago. Broadcasting live international events, such is the power of our programs. But in fact, what could be more innovative? And so, just what do we mean by innovation? Beyond the invention of a new product, it may cover any breakthrough in terms of concept, strategy, governance, organizational process, service, or positioning towards the context or users. We'll all have to be creative and help move the space sector forward in all of these areas. While we can find new ideas in our own backyard, the disruptive rise of the global startup movement and the power of the GAFA, Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple, are driving our industry to seek new approaches to innovation. And GLIC is the opportunity to look at the current situation and work out how to boost space capacity for innovation. We are now seeing new private space players who are changing the game completely for launchers with an optimized supply chain and, in the near future, maybe partially reusable stages. This is also the case for the commercialization of Earth observation satellite data, which continue to grow and broaden in scope. And I want to congratulate ESA and the European Commission for the successful flight of Vega last night at 3-something in the morning, which launched successfully one more Sentinel satellite. And it's a very good point for Earth observation. It's a very good point for innovation. And it's also a very good point for Europe. Last but not least, recently announced programs introducing hundreds of small satellites for the Internet market point to major short-term changes and developments in the satellite telecommunication market. And outside the commercial sphere, new space powers are spawning a lot of newcomers with a lot of ambition. Now, if we are casting a critical eye on these changes, challenges us to think about how we can best serve space powers and emerging spacefaring nations' innovating requirements. In Europe, governments are responding with new structuring programs. In particular, we are set to completely restructure the launcher sector, to foster the creation of new companies and incubate startups. ESA has also developed business incubation centers, it has been addressed by Jean-Jacques, which offer technical expertise in several fields, as well as advice in support with business developments. And in France, CNES is also instituting a single management structure combining innovation and applications with a view to establishing better connections between scientific and civil society issues and to deliver applications covering both institutional aspects and development of services and employment. New approaches to innovation have also to be found in lessons learned to share best practices that GLIC will propose in 6 panels this afternoon and tomorrow. And I should say that during my mandates as IAF Vice President for Industry Relations, my priority has always been to make IAF more appealing to the space industry. The latter in the lifeblood of space activities, as it develops stage-by-stage projects based on users' technical and scientific requirements. Not only does it offer the technology to access space, to obtain space data and to exploit them, but it also a constant source of creativity and innovation for space projects. And moreover, it is a key economic asset for countries involved in the peaceful use of outer space, generating direct and indirect jobs through its multiple daily applications. So in conclusion, I think that it is crucial that IAF organize networking events for industry members during ISC and other major space events. The GLIC, the latest in the IAF Global Series conference, will offer a high-level, specialized 3-day event focusing on entrepreneurship and innovation in space. Top-level keynote speakers will share their thoughts, while the results and recommendation session at the end of the conference will focus and consolidate the key outcomes. Unfortunately, I will not be able to attend these sessions, but I wish you an excellent and very fruitful conference. Thank you.
Merci, Monsieur Le Gall, for your encouraging words. We have now, as the next speaker, Dr. Fritz Merkle, who is a member of the board of OHB Group and one of the sponsors of our conference here. Please, Dr. Merkle.
Mr. Feustel-Büchel, thank you very much for the introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, as representative of OHB and also local Bavarian space industry, I would like to welcome you here in the Freistaat Bayern. OHB has its strongest presence in Bavaria, mainly in Augsburg with MT Aerospace and in Munich with OHB System. Space innovation is a very important point for OHB innovation in general. We consider in Europe as one of, let me say, the forerunners of innovation in application. Already more than 20 years ago, we created the first daughter companies where we try to introduce new application of space, combining navigation and communication and partially Earth observation. But now from a more general view, if we ask, and Mr. Jean-Yves Le Gall mentioned it, you ask people on the street, they say space may be the most innovative industry or area we have. But is it really the case? Are we really the most innovative? Clearly we do extraordinary things in space, even one had been on the moon. But compared to other industries, let's take the telephone. 150 years ago it started, even not with a rotary dial, with the plugs, and where it was connected. Today we have the smartphone, which combines internet, whatever basically connects us to our on a daily life. Are we already at advanced comparable in space, or are we still a little bit on the rotary dial status? Clearly, we have a lot of inventions which lead potentially to a lot of technology, innovation. So in technology, we have huge progress. But the question also is, do we all have the processes in order to bring these innovations and inventions into what we want to do? Maybe there is still some way to go, because part of our space programs, at least is a certain feeling in industry, we perform with processes as in the early beginning, let me say not maybe 75 years back when, or 58 years back when Sputnik was created, but already in the early days of space. And I think, and we are convinced, there has to be innovation in how we do programs. Clearly, they have to be reliable, and in particular, if we look to this also, a big part of space programs are taxpayers' money. This gives us a huge responsibility, so we have to find ways to do innovation, but to do more for the taxpayers' money. So how this could be done, I think, also this discussion should be led here. It's a very difficult way, so space agencies are challenged on this procedure, and this challenge, and we see it on a daily basis by news, from messages from companies. SpaceX has been mentioned, we have Skybox, there is OneWeb, there is Google, and all of this. And this challenge, and once in a while I have the impression there are two worlds developing. There is a new world and an old world. And are they really connected? And I fully agree with Mr. Dodder. The new world and the new space has nothing to do with the age. We have very young people who are very old in their mind, and we have old people who are very young in their mind. And I think we have, and this conference should foster this new mindset in order to make more out of space, and I think to advance, and in particular with the part which is taxpayers' money, to do more with this, and on the other part to do more creating business which opens new areas for our economy, for all nations' economy, for the people. So this also I would like to see and hope it will be reflected in some parts of the discussions which will take place here. So in this sense, it's a type of unique platform, and we hope, and OHB hopes, that this really helps that we can in future benefit much more from new ideas which may lead to today's unknown applications where space, where ground-based activities, ground-based concept, and all comes together to do and to allow us to do more for mankind, for our leisure, for our daily life. Space can have a much broader contribution. And so we have to find ways how space can serve exploration, space science, human spaceflight, with its huge demand on reliability, on professionalism, that it's really done to 100% perfection, and on the other way, that we find ways that basically a satellite could be built for a few $100,000 at the end, and that we don't have a contradiction in between. And both directions, I think, will cross-fruit each other, but it will be a difficult way to go. And I hope this can be combined, that we do not develop, and space is not developing in two different worlds which are not interlinked at all. Thank you very much, and a successful conference.
Thank you, Dr. Merkle, for your remarks. I think you put the ambitions very high. I hope the conference can deliver. The next speaker is Dr. Robbie Samantha Roy from Lockheed. And as already mentioned at the beginning, there was a special conference this morning, the CTO, the Chief Technical Officers Conference, and they spoke about disrupting technologies, and it was quite an interesting event, and Dr. Samantha Roy will report you about this. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jörg. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So on behalf of Lockheed Martin and my boss, the Chief Technology Officer of Lockheed Martin now, Dr. Keoki Jackson, I'd like to thank the IAF and the organizing community for the invitation to have this interesting CTO conversation that we had this morning. So it's only about, 3.5 hours old, and we had a very interesting discussion. The context behind this was the previous CTO of Lockheed Martin, Dr. Ray Johnson, had conceived this idea of having conversations among CTOs across a diverse array of organizations, both within the aerospace and defense sector as well as other sectors. And the idea was to have an interesting forum where we can have discussions about the challenges and the opportunities, best practices, and even make recommendations on how government policies and regulations potentially change, so that at the end of the day you can accelerate the transition of technology from an early nascent research stage ultimately to the products and services that are going to benefit society. So thank you very much to the IF for this opportunity. That was essentially the context for this, and we had our first conversation under the auspices of the IAF, and we hope to continue to have many more into the future. The important thing was that these panelists actually covered a broad range of sectors. We had, actually, I'll just quickly name them. We had Mr. Alexander Magyar, who is the managing director of the Ludwig Blockau campus here locally in Bavaria, as well as affiliated with the Airbus Corporation. We had Dr. Yasunori-san Mochizuki, who was the vice president of the NEC's Central Research Laboratory. We had Dr. Dan Snused, who's the technical director for Western European Industrial Business Laboratories within the 3M Corporation. We had Mr. Scott Faust, who's the Vice President and Director of Space Systems Advanced Technology Center within Lockheed Martin. And we had Dr. Piero Messidero, who is the Chief Technology Officer Deputy, as well as the VP for Research Development, Technology, and Product Policy at Thales Alenia Space. And last but not least, we had Professor Dr. Andreas Rittweger, who's the Director of DLR's Institute for Space Systems. So we had a very interesting collection of individuals across the spectrum, even geographically, from North America, Europe, as well as the Asia-Pacific region. And so what we ended up doing was we had a very interesting conversation about essentially innovation, which really is the process of taking ideas and turning them into products and services. We covered what I call the 4 Ps of innovation: product innovation, which is about technology; process, which is as well as business models. We talked about people and culture. And lastly, we talked about the places, the whole aspect of having an ecosystem of how you deal with the development of interesting technology. And we talked a lot about the full spectrum of all the elements of innovation, about policies, the regulatory environment, even intellectual property. And we really focused on disruptive technology, the fact that you can have game-changing technologies that from a business perspective may ultimately disrupt a product or service that you're actively engaged in. And so how do you change a paradigm set in terms of creating a new product or service and disrupting yourself? And how do you do that from a management perspective was something that we had interesting conversation on. Another key element was the element of partnerships. And we talked about sort of, if you will, a three-legged stool. The fact that industry, government, and academia all come together, whether it's in the space or other high technology fields. You have academia generating ideas and talent that feed into a pipeline, where you have government that takes high risk in terms of foundational, fundamental research. And then you have industry, both small and large, that work together. And one of the audience participants actually raised the issue of the venture capital world, where the role that they play now increasingly in the space community. So that was a very interesting twist. At the end of the day, just to sort of summarize, our 2-hour conversation was recorded, and it's on the IAF YouTube site. And again, I'd like to really thank the IAF for this wonderful opportunity, and we really look forward to hosting essentially a continuation of some of these conversations within the next year and within the coming years. So thank you, and I look forward to a successful conference.
We are finishing this opening ceremony, and we are going back to the Franz Josef Saal. And at 6 o'clock, we have the reception of the Bavarian government. And there, hopefully, then Mr. Pschira, the Secretary of State, will hold his welcome speech to all of you. So I close this session and thank you very much for your attendance, for your attention, and in particular all the speakers for their very engaged and professional words, which helped us a lot in order to find the right tone for this Congress. Thank you very much.